Hi everyone, and welcome to this session where we are going to talk to all our freshers and the first year MBBS students who have just taken on this journey. Something that I think everyone listening to this session who's been through this entire journey, it gives them a lot of nostalgia. For students who've just walked in to this new course altogether, of course, you have so many questions in your mind. Every day is a new challenge that you're facing, and that is exactly why I'm here today to help you and to give you a little guidance more as a senior than as an educator. I think at this point of time, you don't need too many people teaching you academically, but rather you need someone who can be more of a mentor and a friend and tell you how to sail through this time and to basically tell you what to do and what not to do because you have so many pieces of advice coming your way and you don't know how to kickstart this journey. Precisely why I'm here today to help you in this. And since it's a live session, the live chat box is also open. So I would want all of you to put in your questions, your queries, whatever you've been facing through these days. How many ever days has it been since you've joined this course? So if you have any questions, queries, of course, I'm there to address them. And meanwhile, I've got a few pointers with which I want to tell you very quickly. I think it's going to be a very short session, but I want to help you in that entire process of so that the path forward becomes a lot better for you. So, welcome to this session once again. My name is Dr. Preeti Sharma, and for those who've just logged into PrepLadder and who've just moved out of the world of NEET UG into this world of MBBS, I teach pathology and microbiology on the PrepLadder platform, and I have done my MBBS and my MD in pathology from BMMC and Safdarjung Hospital. So. That is, of course, something that as I'm talking to you, it takes me all the way back to 2007 when I joined my first year MBBS as a first generation doctor, where I was very clueless, looking out for someone to give me that, those golden pieces of advice which could help me sail through. But trust me, it's not very easy to get advice. So, in case you're getting genuine advice from somewhere, don't miss out on it. So, yes, I can see a couple of students who've joined in. So, welcome, guys. And if you have any questions, get them ready, start typing them in the chat box. Meanwhile, there are some things that I want to tell you. You've just transitioned from, school life into college life. So, of course, there are going to be changes. But before I start telling you all about MBBS and start scaring you, heartiest congratulations because you have cracked one of the toughest exams in our country and you've made it till here. You are, of course, one of those few rare people who have been selected to pursue this course. So, before you start taking the tension of further exams in life, it is important that you congratulate yourself, you acknowledge that you have worked very hard to be where you are, and you take extreme pride in the fact, and you obviously remain very humble with that, that I have achieved this much up till now, and in the coming future, I'm going to build on this. So, firstly, congratulations on this achievement. Now, coming to the real deal, that you have just transitioned from school life. So, the first thing that I want you to do is stop comparison from today because a lot of people feel that school life, this is how I used to study, this is how my grades used to be. I used to come home with a 95% or a 90% report card and then wonder that how could I do still better in it. All of that is not going to happen. In fact, the way of teaching and the way of studying is going to change altogether. While school life was a lot of spoon feeding, where you were provided a lot of notes and teachers were, there were lectures which were happening all through the day. You were attending lectures, but now things are going to be a lot different because, of course, you will have lectures even now in your med school. You will be learning through them. You will be attending the 8 a.m. lectures. But you will ultimately realize it is more of either PPT based teaching or it is something where you're not getting exactly word by word notes like you used to get in your school life. Probably you will also start studying in a lot different manner. So, this is something like welcome to adulthood, welcome to the club where the spoon feeding stops from here. Although we at PrepLadder have tried our best that we can, give you the notes, give you the video lectures, but still no comparison with school life going forward. At least that's the first thing because till the time you get in the loop of comparison, you won't be able to move forward. I know this is eventually going to, because all your school life you were like sick of those weekly tests and so many things that were happening, and you were dying to get to college. But now the cycle is going to change altogether. Now that you've entered college life, it's every day going to be a nostalgia trip where you will constantly be missing your school days. So this is like a loop of life which has, which all of us have gone through this. And I think this is now your time that you are also going to go through this entire journey. So live through it and enjoy this. So now moving forward, since I told you, you don't have to compare your school progress and your school curriculum, you don't have to compare your school marks also. Because what I'm going to break to you is that when you used to come back from school with a report card of say a 96%, maybe of course not for MBBS, but for so many other courses, especially in the top government colleges, sometimes at 96% also they are not giving you admission. Whereas you can't even think of a 96% in your MBBS prof exam. That is, no one has ever achieved that. So, in MBBS, getting a 70% or so, you would be happier. So, stop comparing now, stop getting into that 90% league of yours that, I have to go into that league and this is how it's going to be. No, now your marks are going to be a lot different. So, as I said, get over school life is the first thing that you have to do. Now, coming to the three subjects that you have in first year, that is anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry. Uh, I know you will pick your favorites, and usually these are three subjects out of which everyone has one personal favorite. Like I remember I had anatomy, which not many people like, but I loved that subject for some reason. In first year, since I only knew these three subjects at one point of time, I thought this was going to be my further career in life also. Because you have limited, you've not been exposed to 19 subjects till then. So you only know these three subjects. But of course, it's okay to have a favorite, but you need to understand that you need to respect these subjects equally. You have to give 33% each of your time equally to these. So what I would suggest to you, that if you're studying from if you have to divide one entire week of your life, my advice would be that keep a Sunday which is free for yourself, and that Sunday goes into your just spending time with yourself, with your family, your friends. But you have 6 days, and out of 6 days, you should be spending 2 days each on every subject. So that is how you've divided time equally. So you're spending 2 days in the evening studying anatomy, 2 days physiology, and 2 days biochemistry. So your 6 days, of course, are like totally settled over here. I'm very sorry, there seems to be a slight glitch in the video, but I guess you can let me know in the comments if it's still manageable. And of course, we'll be trying to fix that. Hopefully it will be settled gradually. So yes, you have to spend 2 days each for anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry. That is a must. You can't say that I don't like, because I know I also didn't like biochemistry. Many students don't like that subject. Many students don't like anatomy. To each his own. But you can't say that I don't like a subject, so I'm not going to study it. That is not going to work. You're going to become a doctor. You can't say that I don't like this particular organ, so I'm not going to treat it, right? You are not left with an option. You like it or you don't like it. You have to study it, because you are trying to build your foundation over here. And if you build a good foundation, is when you'll be able to treat your patients in the future. So you can't directly jump onto writing prescriptions like we used to do when we were kids, and we used to take notepads, and we had a dream that we'll, in a bad handwriting, write a drug for someone to take one day. But all of that goes through years, almost a decade of studying, and that is when you reach that point. So this is the building block and foundation that you are trying to build right now. You have to pay attention to all three subjects equally over here, right? Now coming to the foundation. So my advice, as I told you, 2 days per subject in 6 days a week. Sunday, I want you to keep off. I don't want you to go into the loop of studying from day one all 7 days, because you have a very long journey ahead of you. You have your four profs to give, internship, NEET PG, whatever you decide in the future, but you have a long journey. So your exhaustion cannot happen in the very first prof of MBBS. You have to take time for everything and balance it out. So now that you're building your foundation, your next question, of course, will be how should I be studying? Of course, as a prep ladder faculty, you would only expect me to say that don't study anything else and only look at the lectures from the three, extremely famous faculties of ours for these three subjects. But that will be so wrong on my part to say as a mentor, because today, as I said, I'm not talking to you as an educator. So are lectures designed so that you should, completely ditch your textbooks? That is not the right way to be. You have to do a compilation of both, which means that your standard textbooks will always remain. Now, what textbooks to read, I'll be addressing shortly, but your standard textbooks remain, and you're going to add on the video lectures. In, like I said, when back in the day when I did my MBBS, we didn't have video lectures. In fact, we didn't even have so much of abundance of content on YouTube. So we were heavily dependent only on standard textbooks, which took a lot of time. So if you start reading, say, a Genong or a Guyton for physiology, or you start reading any heavy textbook where there is no bullet points, there it's written entirely in paragraphs, there are pages and pages, and then you get one or two lines as a concise take home message out of it. It takes a lot of time. It is very time consuming. It is also very difficult and overwhelming for a student who's just entered into the world of MBBS, where all those words are dancing in front of your eyes and you don't know what they are talking about. That is exactly why video lectures have been made. So if I in today's date would have been in your place and would have been pursuing my MBBS, I would have taken these video lectures as such a superpower for myself. I would have first watched these video lectures, because then when someone else explains it to you, life becomes a lot easier. Then someone has filtered all that information. So imagine if I have to directly read a concept of physiology, I will have to read it 5 times from the book to be able to understand those 5 lines. But if someone tells me a gist of that entire situation in, say, 10 minutes, and now, after listening to the video lecture, now I get back to reading my standard textbook. The pace, the speed at which I'll be able to read that standard textbook will obviously be faster. I will save time. So I've got the best of both. I am listening to my video lectures. So even without wanting to study for NEET PG, I am studying for NEET PG. And next, I'm also reading my standard textbook. So I'm preparing for my prof exam. So many students come back to me asking, ma'am, do I have to start preparing for NEET PG right now? And I'm like, if you're listening to video lectures, you are anyway preparing for NEET PG. And in first year MBBS, NEET PG is not your focus. Your focus right now, as I said, is laying down the foundation. You can't jump to what will happen 5 or 6 years later without knowing that what are the three main subjects which you have to start with. So this is a loop that you have to go into: 2 days anatomy, 2 days physiology, 2 days biochemistry. For every subject, you have to first listen to the video lecture, understand the concept, now read that same topic from your standard textbook, highlight all the points. You will be getting printed notes from PrepLadder. My advice would be that you go in for those printed notes, but to each his own. If you are more of a handwritten notes person, you have all the time in first year to sit and make notes, because you have three subjects to deal with. The future is going to get tougher. You cannot even imagine what will come your way in final year. So right now, if you think this is too much, it is not. It is very doable. I have made my notes at that time without video lectures. I'm not comparing, but I'm still saying that it is doable. So it is not something that you should be skipping at this time. So now, coming to the books, if you have any books which your seniors have recommended to you, you can let me know. But for anatomy, physio and biochem, my advice would be that since you all have to first, NEET PG is the second step. First, you have to appear for your prof exams. So talk to your seniors, find out what is the book that has been followed in your university and college since many years, because that is exactly where the examiner is also going to set the question paper from. Get your previous year questions from your seniors. In MBBS, it is very important that you are not studying entirely in isolation. It is very important to get guidance from your seniors. And I'm not saying that you're going to get guidance from all the seniors, but there are going to be some who will be very, very helpful. And it will take time for you to find that one favorite senior of yours who, without asking, also will help you. So find out from your college students that what have they been studying. Get hold of all your previous year questions, because with so much of content to study, it is impossible that you can study everything that is written in a particular textbook. You will have to filter out, especially 3 months, 4 months before the exam. You will have to study a limited number of things so that you can retain it in your mind. And how do you decide that what is the amount that I have to study? What is the bare minimum, or what are the ultra important topics that I have to study? That you can only gather once you have got that list, and that list will be made from your previous year questions. So what I have always done through all my MBBS years is that once I used to read, like for example, you go through video lectures, then you read your standard textbook. So first you read the entire topic and made a concept out of it. Now you want to prepare for your prof exam. So you open your previous year question papers. Now you go through all the questions of that chapter. You, on the first page of that chapter, you just write down that these are the 10 questions that have been asked in my college previously. So for these 10 questions, I have to prepare a short note or a long question or a difference or whatever is asked in the exam. And now I know that the next time when I come to revise, these 10 topics are what I will revise first so that my prof revision is done. And then rest of the chapter I will read because I want to brush up my concept. So your future revision also gets taken care of. Notes, of course, is a very personal choice. We give printed notes at PrepLadder. They are very beautifully curated. They have all the bullet points that the teachers have taught in the video lectures. But if you are more of a handwritten notes person, either you can add on points in those notes or you can make your own set of notes. That, of course, is very time consuming. But again, depends on how you have been studying, and you know best. You have studied all these years through NEET UG. So now you know best that what is going to work for you. So decide on that. Moving on to the next question, that before you ask me that, ma'am, should I start solving MCQs? Should I start preparing for NEET PG now? And my advice would be that don't think about it because you are too early on in your journey. You have just come out of a competitive exam, which is NEET UG, and now for you to immediately start thinking of another competitive exam, I think it is very toxic. Secondly, you cannot start thinking of the end result without having started your journey, without having laid down the foundation. So right now, my advice is your focus is not on how much of Q bank have I solved, but I think solving a Q bank just as a way of knowing how much have you retained. If I have studied upper limb from anatomy and I want to now assess that, how much could I recall? There are two ways of assessment. Either I start discussing with a friend or I start giving an exam. Now, no one's going to give you a question of long question and short note exam. The best way is I pick up 30 questions of MCQs and I solve those 30 questions to see how much could I actually recall when I got questions of upper limb. So don't solve MCQs from the point of view of that one day I have to sit for NEET PG. So how much is my strike rate and how am I scoring in this custom module? My advice would be take MCQs so that you know that, okay, I read something for the very first time. I read about human bones. I read about the clavicle. I read about the muscle attachments. I read about nerve supply. How much could I actually retain about it? So then MCQs will come to your help and you will realize that while solving this, you are preparing for NEET PG. I mean, kuch alag karna nahi hai. Don't think that for anatomy, physio, and biochem, one day when you will sit down to study for NEET PG, you will be reading something new. No, you will be reading the same video lectures. You will be solving the same Q bank. So right now, I'm saying rather than putting that pressure on your head, that and sometimes I get questions like, "Ma'am, if I get extra time, should I start studying for second year, prof?" And I'm like, बिल्कुल भी नहीं, not at all. Although those are my subjects, I should never be saying that. I should be wanting you, but tell me, is it right? First year, you are anyway adjusting to an altogether new environment. It's a new phase of your life, new college life, new friends. Most of you have left your hometown. It's a new place where you have to settle. You already have three very heavy subjects to take care of. Trust me, as you will get into the world of anatomy, biochemistry, especially, there is so much to cram up. So now putting that added pressure that because you want to be ahead of others, you want to take up second year subjects, that will be extremely wrong to do. So no, you don't have to study anything else. You study 6 days a week. After that, the one day that I'm telling you where you don't have to study, you actually don't have to study. Don't start putting pressure on yourself that start studying for future subjects because you will never remember anything, and secondly, it is not going to make much of sense because you're reading ahead of your time. You're reading something which you probably don't have knowledge about. You won't be able to understand too much. So stick to what you have to study. Don't think of NEET PG because trust me, while studying all this, you are anyway studying for NEET PG. So this is something which you will realize later on. But right now, NEET PG is not your target. Right now, your target is anatomy, physio, and biochem, and how you have to just keep your concepts very, very strong with these three subjects. So building a strong foundation is what we have. Next, of course, I see listening to such short motivational videos and such mentorship sessions. I know for the next 1 week, many of the first year students will be very, very excited about studying and they'll feel very motivated. But gradually, that is gonna fade away because I think motivational videos or any mentorship session has a very short half life, which tends to keep you motivated for a certain part of the day or the week. And after that, that kind of fades away, and then you go into that loop of backlogs, and then you go into that loop of that consistency is not being maintained. So over here, what is very, very important is that you have to maintain consistency over intensity. It is not that today you studied for 8 hours and then after that you've not studied for the next 1 week. No, every day you study for 3 hours. That's all that I'm saying. So every day, let's assume that your college finishes at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock for some students. You take your break, you spend time with your friends, and then after that, you are going to get back, and then you are going to eventually just study for 2 hours. You can't study for 3 hours in one go, don't study, but at least for 2 hours try to sit, go to the library or start studying with a friend, and try your best that you can at least take out 2 hours, and gradually you will be able to get through this. So consistency, and I'm sure all of you have heard about the story of the tortoise and the rabbit, and you know that it is not someone who's going to run fast. It is someone who will just keep running at a constant pace and will eventually reach the finish line. So that is more important. You don't have to sleep midway. You don't have to become overconfident every day, 2.5 hours. If you're studying for the entire year, I think you are pretty much good to go then. Okay, moving on to a very important thing, which I am also guilty of doing, but now that I'm on the other side, I can give you advice. Avoid last minute mugging. Although this will happen to you, this will be something that will you will be in that phase where you have so much to study. You have only 48 hours left. That time you will be doing last time minute mugging. But I don't want that you're reading something for the very first time in the last 1 month. Your reading, your concept building, all of that should be done much before your pre-prof exams or pre-university exams. And then in the last 3 months before your prof exam, everyone is mugging up. That is okay. That is, you all of you must have seen this very famous meme on social media also, where, this is what every student is doing one night before the exam. All of us have done that, including myself. But were we building concepts one night before the exam? No, we had made our concepts over the year, and now one night or 1 month before the exam we were just trying to put all that information in our brain, because our brain can store a limited amount of things. So now we're just trying to fit it temporarily in our brain, because there's a lot to cram up also, which you can keep in your mind for a limited time. So this is okay to do, but to make your concepts and to clear your concepts one night before the exam by sitting with a friend, that is something that don't. And this is a habit that you'll make from first year. If you get into that habit that, I can study for the last 3 months and I cleared the exam. Why are people studying for the entire year? Might as well chill, relax, have a good time. This might make you sail through the first year. But as you will proceed in the journey of MBBS, the subjects will get more difficult. The number of subjects will increase, the difficulty level, the syllabus, the books will become thicker. Then the last month studying will not help you get through. And if luck is by your side, you will get through. But what if your examiner on one fine day decides to give a tough paper? Then that is where you'll get stuck. And getting stuck midway in MBBS in any subject is one of the most demotivating things. And as a senior, I would never want any of those things to happen in your life. So I don't think asking you to be very. I'm not being one of those toxic people who are saying that since you joined MBBS, studies are the only thing that you have to do. I'm just asking for 2.5 hours of self study every day in your life for 6 days, and taking a Sunday off completely, where you are doing everything non academic that you wanted to do. I don't think that is asking too much to begin with. So remember, last minute mugging is great. It has made all of us solve our problems in life. It has made all of us crack every exam. But last minute mugging of bullet points, not our concepts. Okay, very important thing which no one advises you is that you don't have to remain in your shell when you're in MBBS. Especially this is applicable to people who are introverts. You might have always remained in your shell while studying for NEET UG, but now that you are in MBBS, it is very important that you make friends. You make friends with your batchmates. You interact with your seniors. In the beginning it will be difficult. You can't just go into an altogether new world and expect that you will interact with everyone or everyone will be helpful, but you should make an effort. And you will eventually realize that if you talk to 10 people, maybe 9 of them will not be the ones whom you will feel are very helpful, but there will be this one person whom you will find. And this is something which is not just for seniors, this is also for your batchmates. It is very important to make friends, and you will see your friend circle will also shrink. First year MBBS students might not relate with me on this. final year MBBS students will. When I remember when we started off, we used to, if we ever had to go for a movie or a lunch or a dinner, whatever we would plan as an outing, it used to be a batch of 25, 30 people going for that one college outing together. That was first year, first 6 months of MBBS. And gradually, you're never friends, best friends with 25 people. So gradually, while we reached final year, it came down to groups of 2 to 3 close friends. But those close friends and those friendships are the ones which have lasted even till today. So after decades that have passed by. So my advice is that from the beginning, you're not, A, you don't have to isolate yourself, and B, you don't have to search for 30 people coming your way for help. Just be open to asking for help. Whether it is academic, whether it is non academic, ask for help. Once you have asked for help, it might come your way, it might not. Maybe 10 people won't help you, but you will find those one or two really good seniors, one or two really good friends who will help you both personally, because this journey is not just about how many marks you are getting in every subject. This journey is also going to test you mentally and emotionally on a lot of levels. So you will find those people standing by you through the thick and thin, personally, professionally, academically, emotionally, and you just have to find your people, and that is only possible when you don't get into your shell. So of course, finding friends, finding good seniors, that is something which you have to try at least, and rest of course is destiny. What I think MBBS takes a toll on maximally is your physical and mental health. So, of course, before I end and I take up any queries that you guys have, please remember, if I'm asking 2.5 hours of studying, personal self study every day, consistently for the entire year, I'm also more than that going to emphasize on at least a 6 to 7 hour of sleep cycle. I know as Gen Z kids, you are more into binge watching a lot of Netflix, and you sleep by 3 a.m., 4 a.m., then you rush to the class in the morning without eating your breakfast. You're like, because you attendance is also important, you're rushing at 8 a.m. While once in a while, that's okay. I mean, that's your age and you're going to do all of that. But the effects of all of this do not show while you're in your 20s. The effect of this shows once you have probably cleared all your exams and you're now working, and now you have all the adult money to spend. But by that time, the abuse that has happened to our body physically and mentally in our formative years, all of that starts manifesting. And while you might be earning a lot of adult money, you might not have the time to enjoy all of that adult money. So that is a very weird dilemma of life, that there comes a time in your undergrad when you don't have too much money to spend, but you have the time to spend it. So even in that time, utilize it well. Focus on your health. Sleep is very important. Food, of course, is very important. And ask those people who stayed away from home. And most of us do leave our hometown to study for MBBS in different cities, different colleges. I think the thing that we miss the most is, of course, the comfort of our home, our parents, our siblings, our friends back in the hometown, and of course, the good food. Because no matter, most mess food, students who eat in the mess, they don't like the food. Even if you do, it's one or two items in the food or the mess. Most of the times, you are cribbing about how the food is so bad. So, these are these small, small things where you have to make that extra effort to take care of yourself. And this is just about the physical health aspect of it. Why I'm telling you to not go into that shell of isolation is because mental health is also important. It is very, very important in your MBBS exams and this entire journey, that whenever you feel that something is not going right, physically or mentally or emotionally, that you talk to people. If you find someone in your college to talk to them. If you don't, call back home. And I think, home is a place which you tend to underestimate all through your life. But this is the most golden piece of advice I can give to you, that no matter what your dynamics with people back in your family are, the day your mental health or your physical health, God forbid, takes a toll, actually you have to fall back to home. And that is when you realize that your best advice, your best support, your best comfort was back there, and you were probably finding it in other people and in other groups. So whenever everything, and there comes one moment in everyone's MBBS journey where the pressure gets so intense, and maybe it's not so intense, but we take so much of it on ourselves, that you feel that, like a pack of cards, everything has started crashing down. And that is the moment you will truly want to talk to someone. Reach out to us, reach out to your faculties, reach out to your friends. But if no answer comes from anywhere, do get back home, because an answer always awaits. But never ever let it reach that level of toxicity, or never let your mental health go till that level where you feel that I wish I would have taken a step of some remedy earlier. I would have spoken to someone, I would have tried to ease my nerves. Because now you will start realizing before every exam there is anxiety, there is a lot of pressure that comes your way, there is a lot of peer pressure in your age. Uske kitne marks आए, did he or she get a distinction or not, someone got better marks, someone was praised by the teacher. At your age all these things matter. Gradually down the line none of this matters. Today, as I sit here, as I talk to you, are you ever going to ask me, or do I even remember how much I got in my anatomy first prof exam? Of course, I don't. Neither will you be interested in asking me. But at the end of 5 years, 6 years, or at the end of 10 years of my entire MBBS and MD, if I can't do the diagnosis of a patient, I would be more worried about that than worried about how much I scored in my anatomy, or did I miss the distinction or got a distinction. I'm not saying marks are not important, but marks are not the center. I mean, you can't, if you're cramming up and getting marks, but you don't know how to deal with the patient, then those marks are also useless. You are getting marks only so that your future of treating a patient is going to be better, right? So you have to take this as an entire holistic approach. This is not just marks kitne aa rahe hain MBBS mein, end में 19 में से कितना distinction मिल गया and that is what I'm here for. No, you're not. Because these 5 years you will be the hero in your class, but after 5 years, when you get into the real world where you have to deal with patients, study for NEET PG, then these marks start, some of their value starts diminishing. So yes, take care of your overall health. That is something which is very, very important. And I know in this entire process, one thing that you're going to miss the most about your home is going to be the comfort and the food. Because of course, no one cooks food better than your mom. So you will really look forward to times like these, festivals, Diwali, when you will get go back home, when you will get the same comfort, coming back to college, to hostel from there. Although hostel life is great, you have a lot of fun with your friends, but then there is always a comfort which your home carries. So yes, take it with a pinch of salt, and a lot of salt which your mess is going to add into your food. But this is also going to be a learning curve for all of you. All of us have been through it, and I'm sure you're going to sail through very, very well. So the entire thing is that this journey has a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows, and trust me, the lows are more than the highs. The number of times you will feel good about this entire decision of your life will be very few days. The more number of days will go in doubting that why are you here, because this is a very a performance driven and a very intense kind of a course. You have selected one of the most difficult exams and course of the country, of the world. So you can't expect the journey to go like smoothly, right? It is going to have a lot of highs and lows, more lows, but the only thing that helps you sail through is that you have to trust the process. You don't have to constantly think what will happen to me at the end of 5.5 or 6 years. You have to think of that right now, right here. What can I do to the best of my ability? Utilize this time, utilize what I have with me in front of me right now, and be honest with yourself. Be honest to the process. If you are trying to fool someone else, that's okay, but if you're trying to fool yourself by saying that, oh, I got those marks, but howsoever you may have got them, but then you're trying to fool yourself, and don't do that, because that will never pay off in the long run. So I think trust the process is the last thing that I would want to tell all of you. And if you think that PrepLadder can also help you in this journey, then my advice would be only for first year right now. Trust the three faculties that we have for anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry, because they have had years of experience, decades of experience of teaching so many freshers, so many MBBS first year students. They exactly know where you are going to get stuck, how you are going to transition into this new life, what are the challenges that you're going to face. So all the video lectures are designed in that manner that you will somewhere feel that we are back to school and someone is spoon feeding us once again, and that touch goes missing in MBBS. But I think the first year faculties have beautifully retained that, how a student should not suddenly feel that transition from school to college. So if you want to trust the process, I would say trust the faculties, add on your standard textbooks to it, and I would say it is going to be a smooth journey. Trust me on that for that matter. So any questions that you have? I have one question for a from a second year student. Um, yes, so Dr. Ajay, that is the pre-recorded lectures are being uploaded because that is something which PrepLadder has taken as a decision because right now the prof exams have already been over. I think in the month of August the prof exams were over, and hence the previous lectures are being uploaded. So yeah, that is the entire process going forward. Also, how it is going to be. Okay, Doctor, the next question is regarding NEET PG 26. To be honest, no one has ever known the date for NEET PG exam. Even after the date of NEET PG exam that has been announced, it has either been preponed or postponed and has never happened on the date that was originally listed. So, anticipating a date, waiting for a date to be announced, I think that is a completely futile effort. My advice would be that you keep your timetable. You have to finish your entire syllabus within this year. You have to start your revision from the new year. So I think just go in that zone rather than waiting for the date, because that is something which no faculty, I think right now, even the officials have also not thought of, because a lot of things happen from counseling, etc. And how much they get delayed is eventually going to affect the next date also. So my advice is not to get into the loop of waiting for the date. Okay, so I believe we are done with the session and we are good to end it. Any other queries? If anyone watches this later on as a first year student and you have any other queries or questions, put it in the comments. And whether the first year faculties or myself or someone from the team, in whosoever's capacity is it, we will get back to you and we will be more than happy to help you. And thank you so much for joining in and wishing you all the very best for this entire journey. And of course, for everyone who joined in, wishing you a very happy and prosperous Diwali.